here to propose to you our plan for the future for F&M called Dip Into the World. Basically what Dip Into the World is, it combines F&M's two top extracurriculars, varsity athletics and community service. What we want to do is we want to work through the Ware Institute for Civic Engagement and send 6 to 7 varsity teams per year on a community service trip in an international country. The Ware Institute has already sent the boys soccer team to South Africa. That generated a lot of funding, increased donations, and they actually created a soccer field in a poor area of South Africa. Each trip would be 10 to 14 days long, and each team would go at least once every 4 years to guarantee that each student gets to go on at least one trip in their 4 years here at F&M. Along with community service, this trip also provides room for individual growth and discovery in a foreign country, which fits right in with F&M's mission. It would be approximately $4,000 per player, which might sound like a lot, but even with the football team, our biggest team on campus with 79 players, that would mean it's $316,000, which sounds like a lot again, but the boys soccer team was able to raise over $300,000 just by going on the trip. So things definitely balance out, so it definitely fits in with our budget, and it opens the door to increase donations.
This is how we are rated against schools. Emphasis on input measures, admission rates, student-faculty ratio, standardized test scores, and class rank, and percentage of alumni donating to college. We compare ourselves to 4 schools that are in our Centennial Conference with our sports. And before my group and I decided on a specific strategy to help our school stand out from others, we decided to see if we were located with all these other schools. We were either similar or a little below them all. So by doing this program, it should help increase percentage of alumni donation and our class rank, because by going to other countries, hopefully we can also look at recruits or highly qualified players. Another thing that would be good for this program is that as an athlete, for me, I don't get to study abroad because my basketball kind of contains 2 semesters. So if my basketball team got to go on like a trip to like Africa or something like that, that would be like slightly my like study abroad. So I feel like by doing this program, we can get more athletes.
So what F&M needs, as you just saw the chart, we need to increase our rate of highly qualified applicants. I went to a talk with President Porterfield once, and he called F&M the nation's best kept secret. And he knows that we need more publicity to increase our ranking, but he doesn't want it through cheap advertising. He said he wants no click and you've applied advertising, kind of just like a joke, anyone can do it. He wants legitimate means to increase our highly qualified applicants. And we also need to increase alumni donations by strengthening pride. We believe that when alumni see what their school that they attended is doing, what the team that they played on is doing, that they'll feel proud of their efforts and want to donate in order to further move their accomplishments. And as you also saw, some of the things were not that far off from schools that are ranked higher above us. So what we need is something that will make us stand out. And that's a unique poll strategy, and we think that that's what we're providing you with. And also, as you see on the handout, we just wanted to show you how community service and athletics are basically right on the same line as the F&M mission, almost to the point that they have the same mission.
As Julie mentioned earlier, the soccer team has made actually 2 trips to South Africa, to Kailicha and Cape Town. And Kailicha is a shanty town, which is estimated about 1 million people live in, and about 50,000 people are infected with HIV and tuberculosis, and about 60% of the population is unemployed. They work with Grassroots Soccer, which is an international nonprofit that helps African children live an HIV-free life through soccer and education. And they set up prevention clinics and obviously through the soccer and education awareness for these African children in towns in Cape Town and Kalisha. They also, in 2008, built the Christopher T. Campbell Memorial Soccer Complex, which is right at Christopher T. Campbell was a soccer player in 2007 who died during preseason. And this complex is actually run by an F&M alum soccer player who was Christopher Campbell's best friend. And that shows the international connection, that how important this is to people. They also played on a 5-on-5 crime prevention tournament where each F&M soccer player was on a different team that included South Africans. So they were integrated into the community. And they also played 4 games against semi-professional teams, which also boosts recruiting for our international students.
Similar to this soccer idea, also squat.
As we all know, this past year, Egypt has undergone a revolution, the consequences of which have been tremendous. The economy has declined. The country is now completely unstable. So F&M plans to build squash courts in the poorer regions to give youth a positive alternative to all the violence. F&M team's presence in Egypt could really help this country through this difficult time. And we'd also have we'll also participate in rebuilding the nation after what's happened. This trip would give F&M some international recognition, and it'll give it better access to the regions of Africa and the Middle East. Therefore, we can attract more recruits, both athletic and academic, which would increase our international population tremendously, and that would thereby increase diversity on campus.
Alongside doing community service and work abroad, but also competing in professional events that squash holds on the biggest stage, like in Cairo, in front of the pyramids at night. Happens like once a year in March. Can really attract corporate sponsors where we could go with a squash sponsor and can bring more noise to the F&M squash program and just to squash in general. Also, Tournament of Champions, which held in the Grand Central Station, really high profile that regular Marshall students could go. Basically, sort of sponsor itself also, and also just play in the main tournament and just get its name out there. Alongside this is this squash tournament in Saudi Arabia, and this is Atco Squash International. Same idea where F&M squash players would be traveling, playing with these professionals in more of an exhibition way, but also spreading the word and getting more high-profile funding to the F&M squash team.
Alright, so moving forward to wrap things up, what this program will do, it will attract top student athletes interested in community service and travel, something that you don't always get just by coming to a school to join a sports team. We'll get worldwide publicity. Our community service efforts, just like the boys soccer teams, will be documented online in newspapers, pictures, videos, just doing a very good job of getting our name out there. We'll also, as has been said, will increase our top international recruits. We can increase diversity. Major sponsors will bring popularity and appeal. If a recruit hears that our equipment is sponsored by some high profile company, they might be more inclined to come here. And it will also lastly increase alumni donations out of pride. As I said before, when alumni see what the school and what their teams are accomplishing, they'll be more inclined to donate to further their accomplishments.
I'm a little concerned because, Africa sent the whole soccer team from South Africa, and our rankings in
You mean sending just 6 students? It'd be 6 to 7 teams a year, like so the whole team would go. Yeah, and another thing, the soccer team, their trip wasn't as highly publicized as this would be. It wasn't part of like a set in stone program. They kind of just went to go along with 2 other groups on campus that are also working in South Africa. But this would be a program, it'd be highly advertised, very known, set in stone, like you know you're going to be one of the 6 teams picked this year to go on this like highly publicized trip, so it should.
Would the teams have to apply and this into a proposal, or would they just then be given the opportunity to do that? So like some sort of
Well, if this actually went through, we would pick, depending on how many teams we get a year, we would pick certain teams to go. So for instance, if it was Egypt and they were dealing with squash players, then we would send the squash team. Or if it was to, I don't know, Peru or something like that, depending on the place and depending on what sport teams were going and who were most interested would go. But they would have to spread out over the 4 years. So each team can't go the same every other year. So it'd be like 6 teams a year.
What about having the team picked where they go? Would that involve anything?
I mean, that's always an option, but there are a lot of like factors that go into these things. You could say that you want to go to some like high profile like event, like let's try to get the baseball team to go to like Yankee Stadium and play, but like that kind of thing. Well, obviously it's not international, but those things that might cost more money just because you want to go there might not always work out. You also have to see like the condition of the area that you want to go. Like, is it safe to go at this time? Is it your turn? Like, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but always an option. If it's possible, then absolutely, because it's really like for the players and like for like their like growth. So if it works out, like absolutely.
And I think also there would be sort of a committee of directors that would sort of spearhead the program in general, not just teams going blindly.
Yeah, definitely not a free for all, but obviously they have their say.